All right. Anyway, so the Billy story. I'm sorry, I keep saying Bobby and Billy because they're brothers, and I hang out with both of them at the same time. Never one or the other, always both, and they have similar names. Anyway, so it's the Old Port Festival in Portland, Maine.
What's the Old Port, Daniel?
I'm gonna put this over like pictures.
Yeah, I might. The Old Port Festival.
Montage of all the pictures.
Yo, Daniel, what's the Old Port Festival?
The Old Port Festival is essentially like, it's just like a terrible little carnival that they put on in the Old Port section of Portland, Maine, which is like a pier front sort of area. Not a pier front, but it's like a harbor front.
It's got like bars and nightlife.
It's got bars and nightlife, but during the day it's just kind of like a bunch of cobble streets that are just, nobody really wants to hang out. So anyway, we got invited, Billy, Bobby, Mike and myself, to go to the Old Port. No, not you. There are other mics than you, Money Mike. Go fuck yourself.
There's plenty of other mics.
There's plenty of other mics. There's Mike Money. Anyway, so we got invited to go out to the Old Port Festival. Now, the person who invited us kind of ditched us as soon as we got there, and none of us had been there. So we're like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do? And so before going to this tournament, or not tournament, I'm sorry, before going to this festival, Billy and Bobby had kind of pre-gamed a little bit. Billy more so than Bobby. I don't know what he drank, but Billy was...
what did you drink?
Billy was demolished at this point, and he was like sort of staggering a little bit when he was standing, and I was the only sober one. Bobby was pretty sober. Mike was also pretty sober, maybe a little high. But I don't know. I don't mind being the leader. So they're like, well, Dan, what is there to do around here? You're from around this area. I'm like, I don't fucking know. And so a wandering we go. We find out there's not that much free stuff to do, except for after a little walking, except for a dream interpretation. So we give our names to the lady. I'm not really feeling it, but Mike and Billy definitely are, because Billy's drunk and Mike is like, well, what the fuck else are we gonna do?
Mike is Mike. You gotta understand this.
Mike,
he's insane.
Mike is a real life. He may be a little off, or maybe he's just, or maybe he's just trolling. He's a good guy.
He's a troll.
He's a troll most of the time. He's a good guy. Anyway, it's called hoggling because that's his tag, and if he trolls you, he hoggled you. Anyway, so we give our name to the lady, and so we're in some sort of queue where you're waiting to have your dream interpreted, and we decide that myself and Bobby, we're not going to have anything to do with it. We decided to wait outside of the dream interpretation tent, which is more of like just an awning, really. It's not an enclosure.
All the people doing the readings look like complete retards.
Yeah,
they're like bearded men and
as Bobby says,
women in robes.
If you don't already know, dream interpretation is pure bullshit. And so this was
not bullshit.
This was meant to be a joke.
They were bad at it.
Anyway,
read my dreams, motherfucker.
It was originally supposed to be just Mike because he's a big enough troll that he can talk about his dreams. Anyway, he's a big enough troll that he can just talk about his dreams with total strangers with a straight ass face.
Yeah.
But then Billy decides he's gonna do it too. Now
he doesn't talk about his
Billy
dreams.
at this point. No, hold on. Well, he's going into the dream tent with Mike. Is all I'm saying. Billy at this point is belligerently drunk, and we're walking around, we're standing on a street corner, before the dream tent, and Billy's like, yo, Dan, you see that chick over there? Yo, she's ice grilling me mad hard, bro.
I didn't say a chick, I said a guy was...
No, Billy says it was a guy, but it was definitely a chick. Billy's saying that guy definitely did want to fight. He's saying he was ice grilling. He didn't make it up.
Yeah, you thought that everyone was ice grilling.
Billy, he said multiple times that people were ice grilling him. Word for word, that dude's ice grilling me. Anyway, so I'm like, well, geez, Bill, maybe you should fight him. And he's like, no, I don't have time right now. And so we go to this dream interpretation tent, and Billy's like, I'm just gonna shit on this guy. And I'm like, Billy, just calm down. Let Mike do the talking, because Billy at this time is a little underage to be drinking, and if they find out we're drunk, we're probably gonna get at the least embarrassingly thrown out of this dream interpretation tent. And so we get into this dream interpretation tent. Bobby and myself are standing right outside the awning, so we look like we're not involved, but we can still hear the proceedings. Mike is talking about his dream to this woman and this guy who have, I guess, their apprentices with them. So there's 4 total.
Yeah, can you remember what Mike's description was? Because it was
Mike's
pretty
description.
fucked up,
Mike's description was he
I remember the
keeps.
story better than you guys.
He keeps. I remember it. He keeps dying in his
It
dreams.
wasn't even like God. It was.
No, he keeps dying in his dreams.
What's up, Trevor?
And he tells this to the lady, and also like he keeps maybe a recurring theme in his dreams is I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something to do with Billy. What was it? He like can't save people he knows or something like that.
Mike's was,
Yeah,
but he said it so seriously that he got so into it.
Like he said it so
"Keep
seriously.
dying in my dreams. I can't save anybody.
I can't
like,
save
fuck
anybody. He's like, what does that mean? And like he got into it as if, I mean, and knowing Mike, like he could have gotten into it just
Mike
like
was saying that.
he's such a
So we're like, what the fuck?
he's a man devoted to his craft. He can get legitimately into dream interpretation if he's supposed to be. So
No,
Billy,
it's Fox.
Billy, meanwhile, is sitting next to Mike, and when Mike is listening to his interpretation, only 2 of the people are talking. The 2 apprentices, I guess, are just sitting there listening.
Fucking 5 of them.
There's 2
like
people.
a half circle of people.
There's 2 people, and then like 3 apprentices, whatever. Way to miss that knee, Mike. And so after, Mike gets his first dream interpreted, Billy is just like, wait, hold on. Can I just interject for a second here? He didn't put it so eloquently because he was hammered, as I said. My friend is pouring out his heart, and you're just sitting there, judging him? Sitting there judging him, and he's like yelling at the apprentices who don't know anything. I mean, because it's all bullshit.
He said, what do you have to say?
He's like, you're sitting there listening to my friend pour his life out, and what do you have to say? And he totally confronted these poor people who maybe it was their first time dream interpreting. Who knows? It's a bullshit craft anyway. So how much is there to learn?
Shitting on dream interpreters.
I'm shitting on dream interpreters right now. I'm putting them on blast. Anyway, so then Billy, he keeps bringing it back to the point that he paid good money for this dream interpretation, and
But it was free.
it was a free dream interpretation. Billy kept bringing it back to the point. We paid good money for this. My friend paid good money for this. He's pouring his life out, and you're sitting there judging him. But what do you have to say about this? I paid good money for this. Billy just kept coming back to it, and he continues to shit on these people like mercilessly. He takes it away from dream interpretation. He starts calling this one kid. The guy must have been like 48 years old or whatever, balding, overweight, dream interpretation status. And he's like, you're a fucking loser. Billy just gets belligerent with these people, just calling them. He's like, what are you gonna do? He's like, what do you do with your life? You sit here and you listen to people's bullshit dreams and you give them a bullshit interpretation? What do you do? Is this your job?
I'm like, you know what I mean? That's Sarah.
Hey, you know what I mean? And Billy, he kept, as if it was an open-ended conversation that they could actually say something to. He's like, your profession is bullshit, you know what I mean? And he'd stare at them for like 20 seconds. Nobody would say anything. Mike would try and interpret his dream, he'd try and, break the silence with a little more of his dream. Billy just was not having it. This is good money we paid here.
A little bit more of that whiskey.
I'd love
Ultimately,
to offer you
this story's
a
winding
great
down here.
friend.
I cannot deny it.
Yo, I have
Some
to
more, Bobby.
listen, Bobby.
Alright.
I have to
Things are kind of getting hectic here. People are asking for more drinks around. Ultimately, we left the dream interpretation tent, walked around. Billy continued ice grilling people and continued to be ice grilled by people, from what he understands. We almost got into a fight with a chick who was playing a flute.
Did I?
You wanted to. You're like, yo, that chick is ice grilling me. She was playing a flute in the middle of this square. And then we considered trying to sneak into a bar, but ultimately we didn't. And Billy just went home and had a few more beers. Who knows? And that's the Billy story. Thanks for listening.